Hello again, and thanks very much for joining us. I'm Michael Nath. Nigeria's Vice President Osinbajo says the federal government needs to create synergy between fiscal and monetary policies. Osinbajo disclosed this on Tuesday while attending the third Ministerial Performance Review retreat in Abuja. He also warned that failure to do so will lead to unnecessary drawbacks in economic planning. During the meeting, some of the economic policy challenges facing the President Muhammadu Buhari's administration were discussed. And these include exchange rate management, value addition, and productivity. The Vice President also used the occasion to warn against blanket import restrictions, noting that some imported items are needed in the manufacturing process. In the same vein, he urged for coherence in government policy adaptation between MDAs to avoid conflicting policies. Nigeria's local currency unit is set to weaken further next year as its current exchange rate to the dollar is well above fair value. That's according to Bank of America. Economist Tandoga Rusika said in a note to clients on Tuesday, the three indicators, the widely used black market rate, the central bank's real effective exchange rate, and our own currency fair value analysis, shows the NAIRA is 20% overvalued. He predicted a scope for the NAIRA to decline by an equivalent amount over the next 6 to 9 months, taking it to as high as 520 per US dollar. Now, while the NAIRA will come under increasing pressure due to limited government external borrowing, the bank says devaluation is unlikely to happen until after the February 2023 presidential elections. Africa's largest economy operates a multiple exchange regime dominated by a tightly controlled official exchange rate and a parallel market where the currency is freely traded. The NAIRA exchange at 440, that's 0.95 to the dollar in the official spot, while the parallel rate went up to 740 Naira, that's according to the Bureau de Change Operators. Nigerians across 36 states of the Federation paid 1.23 trillion Naira in taxes in 2021, a 19.19% increase from the 1.03 trillion Naira paid in 2020. This is according to data from the state's internally generated revenue report by the National Bureau of Statistics released recently. According to the data, tax revenues accounted for 66.16% of state's IGR, 1.56 trillion Naira in 2020, and 64.88% of 1.89 trillion Naira in 2021. According to the data, taxes make up a chunk of state revenues. These taxes include pay-as-you-earn, direct assessment, road taxes, and other taxes paid by residents within the state, from 4.69 trillion Naira earned in 2020 to 5.12 trillion Naira in 2021. Cumulatively, there was a 33.66% year-on-year growth in the aggregated internally generated revenue of the 36 states, from 1.2 trillion Naira in 2020 to 1.61 trillion Naira in 2021. The Kaduna State Governor, Malam Nasir EL-RUFAI, has presented the 2023 draft budget of 370 billion Naira to the State House of Assembly. The estimates confirmed with his administration's 60-40 ratio of capital to recurrent expenditure, its 8th and final budget, which ends in May 2023. The 2023 appropriation bill has a total size of 370.33 billion Naira budget, which is a 21.82% increase from the 2022 revised appropriation of 303.99 billion Naira. Giving a breakdown of the draft budget, the governor said that the sum of 242.21 billion Naira is proposed as capital expenditure and 127.7 billion Naira as recurrent expenses in the 2023 estimates. The capital to recurrent ratio of 65.5% to 34.48% reflects our consistent commitment to investment over consumption. The governor said the 2023 estimates maintain focus on human capital development, adding that our proposal allocates 45.34% of the budget to education and health. According to him, the allocations of 29% to the education sector and 16.05% to health leave no doubt about abiding commitment to human capital development. EL-RUFAI added that the 2023 budget estimates make provisions for continued poor interventions in nutrition, healthcare, skills acquisition, and empowerment funds for women, youths, and vulnerable groups. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, says only the collection of more taxes and effective blocking of revenue leakages were realistic measures that would drastically cut borrowings and reduce the nation's high debt burden. Ahmed stated this at a workshop on tax expenditure organized by the ECOWAS Commission under the context of the implementation of the support program for tax transition in West Africa in Abuja. The workshop is aimed at examining directives on harmonization of tax expenditure management practices and the monitoring and evaluation of tax transition in ECOWAS member states. The minister, represented by the Director, Technical Services in the Ministry, Fatima Hayatu, said the issue of tax expenditure was a great concern for the government. It will recall that the government had in July said the country's debt service cost in the first quarter 2022 was 1.94 trillion naira, 310 billion naira higher than the actual revenue received during the period, indicating that Nigeria's debt service costs outweighs its revenue. As manufacturers gather in Lagos to chart a way forward for the manufacturing industry, industry experts demonstrate their readiness to see Nigeria move from a developing country to an industrialized country. Speaking during his address as guest speaker at the landmark 50th Annual General Meeting of the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria and the second Adiola Odutola lecture held in Lagos, Alhaji Aliko Dangote said it is imperative that the familiar challenges limiting the pace of industrialization are frontally addressed. While reacting to this on IBrandTV Business Breakfasts, economist Olusegun Akwade averred that the government must show the political will to achieve the feat in the 10 years.
I said, having 10 years plan is not a problem, but implementation has been the challenge. Remember when we were approaching the year 2000, everybody was talking we're going into the millennium. Thereafter, we have Vision 2010, Vision 2020. We've had the economic group talking about 2030 again. Here we're talking, but the most problem we have is that we do the talk, but we don't act the talk, and it has brought us to where we are. But I give kudos to Dangote, who believed in this nation, have decided to commit so much resources irrespective of the path that the government is taking to it by first launching a very big refinery, of which so many other processes will follow through. Remember, I think early last year or late last year, himself and Femi Otedola were talking about having the biggest manufacturing of fertilizer, which the AFDB president alluded to, that will be a good boost. If we have some of the politicians who we feel are mismanaging our funds, investing back into this country, providing the basic infrastructure that is needed, I can tell you that with this that Dangote has done, is going to be mind-blowing for Nigeria and Lagos in specific. Remember that the opening of that thing is talking about the ports that will be coming up again at a Lekki trade-free zone. Until government is intentional about certain things that is done, and we start producing, domesticating things locally, we may not go anywhere. We always have the plan, 10 years plan, 20 years plan, but when it comes to actualization and implementation of this policy, you see that the political will are not there. If the infrastructures are there, take for example power, that we're able to generate it. I can tell you that Nigerians are very creative. Who are the main people behind the success of all those developed world? It's still the same Nigerians that are actually putting their intellects to make sure that those things develop. So let the government be intentional. It's not that we don't have the plan. I think the major problem is the political will for implementation of some of those beautiful plans that are written. And I think with the transformation that we are getting from the wealthiest man in Africa as we speak, I think it's given the right direction, and other people are seeing the need for them to invest more in the country so that we can grow the nation together.
The federal government on Tuesday said the decision by the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries to cut 2 million barrels of crude oil production was a unanimous one. It said the step was taken to stabilize the market and not for any ulterior motive. The Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Timipre Silva, disclosed this in a statement personally signed. He said the decision taken by the OPEC, meaning OPEC and its allies, during our meeting on October the 5th, 2022, to voluntarily adjust crude oil production downward by 2 million barrels per day was unanimous. It was taken for the exclusive purpose of ensuring the long-term stability of the oil market. It was purely to balance supply and demand and forestall a degeneration of the current volatile oil market to a situation where larger production cuts will be required to balance it. This proactive decision was based on a thorough assessment of market conditions, as OPEC Plus has always been guided. Members of OPEC and their Russia-led allies had earlier this month agreed on a major cut in oil production, a move to prop up prices that could bolster sanction-hit Moscow's coffers and irk Washington. Nigeria is a strong member of OPEC as the country pumps over 1.4 million barrels of crude daily, though this figure has crashed due to the activities of vandals and oil thieves in the Niger Delta. The new pension residential policy introduced by the National Pension Commission is catalytic and could spur growth in other sectors. The President's Pension Fund Operators Association of Nigeria, Lumide Oyeton, has said, Oyeton, in a statement in Lagos, said the policy should boost the mortgage, finance and home loan sector, in addition to having a positive effect on the construction value chain and building materials sector. He said as pension operators, they believe it will create massive jobs for artisans and blue-collar workers involved in the construction value chain, also further open up the wealth management and financial planning industry. He also said RSA holders would plan to target RSA balance because they have a goal of owning a home. He stressed that they were aware that the process of actualizing the portion of the Pension Reform Act on mortgage has gone through many iterations and stakeholder engagement, and that they were happy that it had been released. He pointed out that while they realized there might be some initial teething problems, they are excited and are primed to partner with the Commission, RSA holders and other stakeholders to ensure that the policy actualizes the reason it was set up. The Association of Bureau de Change of Nigeria said the Bureau de Change at the Center of Central Bank of Nigeria's exchange rate policies, APPROPRIATION, had said. Now, the ABCON President Aminu Gwadabe, who disclosed this in Lagos, said the Apex Bank has maintained the suspension of forex sales to the BDCS and does not lead to revocation of licenses. The operators are still under the purview of CBN regulations. Wadabe said the small retail exchange institutions BDCs remain at the center of CBN's exchange rate policies implementation, and hence the need for the regulator and public to continuously support BDC's roles and exchange rate stability. This is added can be achieved through increased automation of their processes and providing more channels of transactions for sustainable price equilibrium while eradicating rent-seeking, currency substitution and speculation. We'll take a break now and return with more news. Stay with us.